So starting off with multi-rack system. So the state of the graph I have defined here. So we'll start with question, where the question given by the user, the answer given by the rack application, as well as I am deciding to maintain the chat memory as well through chat summary. So starting off with file router. So this function is mainly done to segregate images as well as text. So those PDFs which are having text are returned under PDF, and the PDF of images are also parsed separately, along with just single images are also routed differently. And here we have different kind of these image handlers, where first the approach to handle images which I have used is I'm using the LLMs to summarize the whole image in very detail, as you can see the prompt, and then I'll store them in a particular txt file and then directly store that in vector database and use it for further retrieval and generation purposes. So what I am doing is first with the image will actually encode it to base64 and then summarize the whole image, and then with the summary I write it into a txt file and then vectorize it. So we can say I am using Google's Word 2.0 Flash for a summary, which also supports for image summarization. So yeah, then we're going to have vectorizing the text files, where we are using recursive character text splitters and then just loading from the text file. And for embedding generation, I'm using Hugging Face embeddings. And then we also have support for files which contains multiple images within the same PDF, which can be directly parsed like single images. So first I convert them into individual images and then directly store the content in a different file. So this is about the vectorization, where I'm actually using a Chrome as vector database and use it in further retrieval process. Here we have rack chain, where I'm actually pulling the prompt for rack from official LangChain repository itself. So we'll be having two input variables, context and question, and that will be passing through prompt and then to LLM and then parse it as normal string. And the main feature for this is that I'm using multiple query based systems, where we'll, for example, if a user gives a question 1, even if the question is incomplete, we'll have LLMs generate 3 to 4 different types of same question and then pass all of them to LLM. So this particular part is known as you getting different multiple queries, where I'm using get unique union, so where we get different questions and unite all of them. And then at the finally we are actually passing this through retrieval chain, where first we generate multiple queries for the same question, then pass it to retriever and then unite all of the answers and then give a final result. Next we have fallback node. Fallback node is mainly what I have used for is that if the answer is not good enough or not up to the level, then we are using fallback node, where if the LLM decides that it should continue, then it returns the answer as whatever the answer it's actually given, and if not, then it decides to uh, forward carry on with the message that the given information is insufficient. Then I am also having summarization node, where we actually summarize the whole conversation. For that also I'm using Gemini 1.5 Flash, and I have hallucination grader. Hallucination is process where AI actually kind of hallucinates while giving the response, and for to handle that I'm just allowing AI to itself to handle to grade if the given response by the user is hallucinated or not. So for that we have hallucination grader, and also answer grader, just to check the relevancy of how relevant the answer is to the question. For that we have answer grader, and once if our answer passes both hallucination and relevance, answer relevancy check, then we actually allow the graph to move forward. So that's the whole thing. So going back to the code part, uh, the whole the whole thing is hosted up in the whole thing is actually hosted up in server LangGraph, where I'm actually using. So the whole thing is actually being hosted in LangGraph server, where using LangGraph CLI and Docker. So I am actually using, for demonstration purpose, I'm uploading my resume file itself as the document, and upon that we are going to ask query to the rack system. So for example, I'm going to ask what is the name of the candidate, where the actual whole graph will be executed sequentially. You can see first it goes through the start node, and then drag answer generates multiple query for the same. We can see here, if we pause, there will be multiple queries for the same question, and based on the provided documents we get the answer that the candidate's name is Shreyank. And you also have go through summarization node, hallucination grader, as well as answer grader. And next question, for example, I'll be trying, tell me a detailed information about the projects by the candidate. So I expect the rack system to tell in a very detail about whatever my projects are, based on the resume context I have given. And LLM actually does successfully tells the projects, where we can see, yeah, LLM also mentions almost all of my projects particularly, which we can see through the text box. There are multiple nodes for this particular system, where we actually go start with start node, and rag answer, where rag generates answer, summarization node for summary, hallucination grader and answer grader for checking how relevant the answers are, and fallback node along with end, the last final one. And we also have this pipeline built very well. For example, another trying, tell me about the jobs that this particular candidate can apply. So based on the resume, I expect it to analyze my resume and tell what and all jobs are am I eligible for. And it goes through a rag answer node right now, and after generating multiple question on based on the same question, it's provided AI ML engineer, backend developer, generative AI developer, AI research developer, and data scientist. These are the 5 jobs that AI suggests that this particular candidate can actually go through. And if we can see, we are also going through this particular thing that in my resume there is very less part where I have mentioned my CGPA, which is 8.58. Like, it's very in a minute detail, but it is also able to capture even very minute detail, such as tell me college background and educational background for the particular candidate. It goes through start node, and from start node again drag answer, then summarizes it. And we can see the candidate is pursuing BTech in computer science and engineering, and expected to graduate in May 2027, and his GPA is 8.5 to 10. So this summarizes the whole thing. And yeah, thank you for this opportunity.